The expressed views of the podcast are views of the individuals and not the views of any organization or public safety agency. This podcast may contain violent or offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised. And if you are offended by what we say, you can get fucked. Enjoy the show. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back, Tales from the Tailboard podcast episode. I'm not even going to try. It's been so long since we did that episode. I know that we're pretty far on the list.
That is,
20,
you are loud.
5 or 6. Hold on. Sorry, super close. Still trying to figure it out. I don't actually know how to run a soundboard.
We're on 25.
I know that you guys think that I have this overall understanding of this contraption here to the left of me, and I really don't. I know how to get sound
until you
from
make it.
You got a lot more than I do, I'll be honest with you.
To the
I think the thing you have the hardest time with is hitting the record button.
And you know what? That's nowhere on the soundboard.
If you died tomorrow, the podcast would stop.
It would die with you.
I got no idea what to do with that.
Hold on. So you're saying that if you could work the soundboard, that you would continue to record the podcast that I co-chair with you after I died?
Well, I might do one episode like, hey, everybody, this fucker's dead. Yeah, this fucker's dead. Podcast is no more. I mean, still hit us up on Instagram and send drink recommendations, but
let us know what you guys want us to drink at the funeral.
Yeah,
because we're gonna get lit.
That's the one right there. That's the one.
My goodness! If I die, I want you guys to throw a party for me. That's
okay,
what I
we
want.
will.
Hell yeah, me too.
We'll be like the old homies and pour a little out with our finger up.
So Chrispy, Styx, we got Nick the cop and Jeremy the cop / tow truck driver.
Tactical toe.
There you go.
Tactical toe.
That's about as good as it gets right there.
I like that.
Is that TOW or TOE?
Whatever you want to call it.
Whichever one. Yeah.
We're not talking about camels.
Yeah.
Whoa. Does your big toe go strapped?
Yeah, sometimes.
Fuck yeah.
Depends on the night, day.
Location?
Yeah, exactly. Got to be secret.
So we're going to talk about absent leadership and pre-recording. We came up with a great idea. We're going to record some stuff. We're going to go back downstairs, get fucked up, and then we'll come back up and finish the episode. And absolutely nothing can go wrong with that plan.
Yeah, I don't see where. I'm upset we haven't done it before.
I'm really upset. I feel like we've done some episodes where we were like a little lit, but I don't think we've done any where we were fucked up.
That's if we can make it back upstairs.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. And if we have enough alcohol to get Jeremy drunk.
And if you can know how to run that when you're intoxicated.
Yeah, you might push like stop and we won't get shit.
Well, hopefully I hit pause before we go back downstairs.
Yeah, true story.
So we don't have
that'll be real time.
So we don't have like 3 or 4 hours worth of podcast.
Yeah. And going on the acoustics of your downstairs.
Oh yeah,
they'll probably hear everything.
Apologies to our listeners. We got rid of all our carpet downstairs, so you'll hear everything going on downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about like real carpet.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Not
where...
that kind of carpet.
I haven't had that for years. Who still has that?
What fucking day and age are we in?
Right? It's 2021. It's hardwood floors all around.
I mean, sometimes it gets a little overgrown.
Yeah, you get busy. Like, I'm not saying that it's like wood floors all the time.
Yeah, it gets busy. The clipper dies. You're out of fresh razors.
Happens.
It happens.
That just sounds like poor planning.
Sometimes the head of your clipper falls in the toilet.
Or you can just man up and wax the shit.
I don't know about that.
The head of the clippers made it all the way out of my sewer system. I don't know where they made it to, but they are not in my house. I made sure they were not in the toilet loop somewhere because I thought them bitches got stuck for sure. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up again, Chris. You never disappoint.
How far through were you of the grooming?
It's like a two-faced thing?
Yeah, like a reverse mohawk?
No, I think I was like 85%. I think that I had like the bulk of it taken care of.
That's disappointing.
I know. No weird design. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I didn't have a Hitler sash above my cock. I'm really sorry for that.
No landing strip.
If I could recreate the moment, I would definitely aim for that.
You could.
I don't want to drop the head of my razor in the toilet.
I mean, you could just pretend.
It was weird enough the first time. I don't think that I intentionally want to recreate that. But thank you for the idea. Goodness.
What I question the most is you're tall. Like, were you standing over the toilet? Were you?
Yeah,
squatting over the toilet.
I was like straddling it, so I was like right here.
But you're tall. You're a far distance from the toilet.
Well, yeah, it splashed. I don't understand the question.
Like hair would just go everywhere.
No. It falls down in like bulk. I mean,
What
there's
the fuck was that?
like a little bit on the rim. Something fell. I don't know.
I dropped the screwdriver.
Oh.
Yeah, there's like
Got excited.
some hair gets like I don't get it all in
Your hair is. Can anybody finish that?
No.
Everywhere. Really? No, nothing.
I got nothing.
there. We'll have to ask Alexa about that song when we get back downstairs.
Who?
Alexa.
Anyway,
Don't judge me.
Jersey's gonna get mad. What the fuck we talking about?
Oh, I was literally thinking the same thing. I'm like, Jersey's gonna be pissed because we haven't even discussed what the topic's gonna be. We haven't been on topic since we started.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about a topic. So we're gonna talk about what did I say? Absent leadership.
I wrote down terrible leadership. So
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 just
different.
leadership in general. I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a subject that's particularly close to me because, and I know Nick's all about it too. He's been taking classes and stuff, and I just feel like everyone talks about like management, and everyone thinks that they have like leadership figured out. But I'm gonna be honest, nobody has leadership figured out.
no, some people just do it better than others.
Yeah.
There's-
smart.
there's
very
like-
street smart.
There's like good leaders, but there's not like a per se perfect leader, somebody that's got it like completely figured out. So we can go over some of the good things to do and some bad experiences and things to stick away from. One thing, when I was in high school, I was in JROTC. I know, super nerd. I get it. I was in band too. Save the jokes.
Holy
I know
shit.
you guys are already starting them in your heads.
flute,
I can
or-
already see it coming. I didn't. The skin flute, maybe,
Well,
but it wasn't me
Whatever
that was
works.
playing it.
Just a fan.
Just a fan. Just a fan.
Oh, shit.
he's
Now,
distracted now.
now he's stuck on blowjobs.
Killed it.
But if you want to take it all, you got to wear African neck rings. Just because it's long, so you got to extend it. Anyway, never mind. So when I was in ROTC in high school, one of the things we talked about, the big thing was it focused on leadership. God damn it!
Off topic again.
And there was 4 pitfalls of leadership. Now get this, I only remember one, and I cannot figure out the other 3 to save my life. But the one that I remember is setting impossible goals.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And that one's like, it's always stuck with me, and I don't know why that's the one that always stood out. But I always feel like leaders who typically tend to be more like managers always want you to like, they expect the world from you.
Yet they can't do it themselves.
Right. One, they're probably not willing to do it themselves, or what they're asking you to do, it's not possible for you to do by yourself, or it may go like way outside of your training, or like, here's what I want in the end. What do you need from me to make sure you make that happen? Or do you need assistance doing this? Or is this something that you see that you could do? Because if a person says, yeah, I can do that, then absolutely, I'm going to expect that from them. But if I say, hey, this is what we need to do, can you do it? And they're like, no, probably not by myself, or yes, but not in the timeline you're expecting, or whatever it may be. Like that type of engagement with your people and understanding, one, your expectations, and you understanding what they feel their capabilities are. That way you don't expect something that's outside of their capabilities. And I think that carries forward, because then you're involved with your people and you understand your people's limitations, and you're like not forcing them to do something they're not capable of. So like, oh man, this guy like actually took time to talk to me before he just demanded that I do this crazy outrageous task by myself.
That puts you in communication with your people.
Absolutely. I think
That's what makes a good supervisor, though, is someone that's actually out there with you and not sitting behind a desk hiding while you do all the work. Someone that's actually out there taking the calls with you, showing up, writing reports, whatever else.
There's a big difference in a leader and a boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you all ever seen that like meme or picture or whatever that floats around? Has anybody seen that? Where the boss, I think the boss is like sitting behind a desk, and there's 3 people that are like holding the desk up, pulling him, and then the leader is out there in front helping pull the desk. I don't know if that
Yeah.
that probably doesn't paint a good picture, but like if you see it, it's like, man, that picture hits the nail on the head. It's perfect. Leaders out there leading from the front, showing the guys how to do things, and upholding the standard.
Have you guys all seen Band of Brothers?
Parts of it.
It's been a
Parts.
while. Isn't that like a 4-hour movie?
Yeah.
It's actually
It's
8
like
hours.
It's like a 13-part series, isn't
It's
it?
an 8-part
bunch.
mini-series,
Yeah.
and each part's about an hour.
When do we ever have time to sit down and watch
Yeah.
TV?
Oh, I got plenty of time. Let me tell you what.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true. So one
On
of
your
us-
$300
one of
office
us.
chair?
In my $300 off, $350.
Sorry.
Let's
you
go around.
You forgot the 50.
Just because I'm curious, let's go around real quick. I want all four of us to tell me, like, if your number one leadership characteristic. What is something that you think a leader has to have? Like, number one,
Integrity.
to be a good leader.
Integrity.
I agree with that.
I think that humble and modest, I think that those two kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You have to, like, understand that you are, like, capable and trained, but you also, first of all, you can't go, like, blabbing around. I've always heard the saying that if you have to remind people that you outrank them, you're probably
In the
doing
wrong
something
way.
wrong. And then
I don't know anybody that does that.
And then you have to be
I don't
humble,
have fingers.
humble in the fact that you have to be able to admit when you're fucked up.
A lot of
Ownership.
people don't do that.
Ownership.
There's a lot of people. The first thing they do is go, you.
Yep.
But that's the thing, especially with leadership, though, is sometimes the leader doesn't know everything, and maybe one of your guys
And that's
does.
okay.
That's okay.
And
Yeah.
it's okay to
That's
say, hey,
okay.
look, and own it. Say, hey,
Yes.
look, you're right. I didn't know that, but thank you
Yes.
for helping me out.
But there are so many people that are too egotistical and too prideful to ever admit that.
See, and that's what
you
makes a
don't-
shitty supervisor.
Exactly. But gosh, I mean, we in the organizations that we all work for, we've all seen it. I mean, everybody that's in the workforce has seen that on different levels and different places. Obviously, where it becomes more of an issue for us is being first responders, military, whatever the case is. You know, when people's lives are on the
I'm
line.
a second responder.
Yeah, you're a lieutenant now, so yeah.
So does that make him like a third responder?
It was shit, maybe
Well,
4.
fuck. I'm even farther behind than I thought.
I don't know if he
I
responds.
thought I was doing
I don't know if
good.
he responds at all anymore. Anyways,
I mean, second place is nothing to fucking turn your nose at.
and
But
that's-
no, but
shit.
on a serious note,
Being
like there's
first,
a
right?
difference. There's a difference in good leadership in like the corporate world, the business world, making decisions that cost people jobs and cost people money and things like that, and then being out there on the front lines, like being a first responder, being in a war zone, in the military, whatever the case is, where it will cost somebody their life. There's a big, big difference.
See, and that's especially with when it comes, like you said, leadership. Is you get these people that want it just for the rank or title, whatever else,
Or for the pay.
But
Yes.
exactly for
I
the
feel
pay.
like I'm
but you
quiet.
also don't. I told someone about this that you guys work with is I would be the first person to point out that says don't forget where you came from, and a lot of people actually forget where they come from,
Yeah,
and
a
then
lot.
they suck at their job, and then you call them out on it. And, I mean,
And they can't
I
take
call
it.
them out
They
on
don't
it.
want to hear it.
You know, another thing too is the constructive criticism and the way that we like build and grow as leaders.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people that cannot handle being told like what they could do better.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Learn
that's
from
a
it,
huge
move on.
deal. Yes,
Exactly. I mean, that's going to make you a better leader.
And I think that one of the words that would like describe all of the things that we've talked about so far is ownership. As a leader, you have to take ownership of everything that you do, whether it be the failure or the success of your team or the people that are in your immediate control. The things that you don't know, own it. I don't know, but I know how to find the answer. I know somebody that does know. Let me, I can talk to people, so let me use my resources to figure out who does know the answer and how we
Yeah.
can get this done. Or if you screw something up, yeah, I screwed that up. I'm going to own it. I screwed it up all day long. How do we learn from it?
And that-
Yeah.
But
and that's
people
what's-
won't take ownership. These
No,
days.
and that's what's nice. I've had supervisors, especially where my background is. I had a sergeant. Usually once a week, he'd be like at the end of the week, we'd all sit down and go have coffee and donuts somewhere at a certain place in Albuquerque, and he'd sit down. And he's like, "Hey, what can I do better for you guys? What should I have done, or did I do anything I should have fixed, or whatever else?" And we talk about it, and he was great about it. And I mean, that was probably one of the best supervisors.
Makes
you
a
learn
big
from it.
difference.
And I tell you what, that was one of the best squads I think I've ever worked on because he owned his mistakes. Hey, I made a mistake. Hey, no, it's cool. We're human. We
Yeah,
all make
yeah.
mistakes.
And
in
then
life.
go-
If you didn't fuck up, I'd be a little more concerned.
And then going back to being humble, like you said,
Exactly.
I mean, that's right on par. The same thing. Ownership. You know, like, hey, I screwed this up. I'm gonna take my medicine on this one. I'm gonna eat a piece of the humble pie. I screwed this up. How could I have done this better? One of my favorite things in what we do as law enforcement officers is when you do a debrief of a certain critical incident or a certain situation.
Stressful one.
And there's no, like, rank is out the window. Like, hey, we're all equals in this little hot wash, whatever that we're doing. And we're going to go around the horn, and I'm going to say what I liked, what I could have done better, what I didn't like, whatever. And we're going to go around and everybody's going to give their opinion. And if there's something that the leader screwed up, he needs to know that.
That's the time.
Exactly.
Right there.
Such as
especially when it happens fairly soon after.
Yes.
Because it's all still fresh. If not, everybody just goes around the table like, oh yeah, good job.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't accomplish anything.
No.
Nothing will ever get better.
Yeah. The sooner the better because it's fresh.
But you also see a lot of it these days. It doesn't happen anymore.
It doesn't.
I mean, we still do it on the fireside here and there.
Sometimes.
I mean, not every. I mean, we haven't had a structure fire in a long time, but the after action it's a bunch of us sitting around talking. But you also get the supervisors that love their rank, that love to point it out.
Yeah, and we had a SWAT call out yesterday morning, and at the end, it was we did that. We went around the horn and did our little back brief or a little debrief of it, and I would say like 90 to 95% of the people that were there were just like, hey, yeah, thanks for coming. Everybody did a great job. Cool, we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Which is fine and dandy, especially if legitimately you're not knowledgeable enough to see that anything wrong happened, then that's fine. And if that's all you have to say, then cool, whatever. But the people that do see stuff, you need to see something, you need to say something.
True, but sometimes
that
person might not see something, which cool, it happens. Sometimes this person sees one thing, this one doesn't. And if you didn't see it, cool, but if you did something, you see something, say, like you said. That's what makes a good supervisor.
Or, obviously, everybody likes being told that they're doing a good job at whatever it was they did. Like, hey, you drove the MRAP today, you freaking killed it. You did a really, really good job. I'm gonna say that in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Like this, and so that got brought up. Yesterday for the SWAT call out, we had our MRAP driver. It was the second time he'd ever driven the MRAP. The first time was the day before. So, I mean, almost no experience driving the MRAP. And the area that he had to get this thing to get into the backyard was he had about an inch clearance on both sides.
Nice.
Or otherwise he would have taken out the entire fence or the entire side skirting of the house.
Yeah, but why not? You're in an MRAP.
And well, I mean, sure, and he freaking rocked it.
Did you know how to drive an MRAP?
He fit it in there.
I had to throw that dig in for you.
He fit it in there hard. He
Whoa.
did it
And fast.
hard and fast.
The MRAP too.
Fuck
Yeah.
Spit on it first.
Dude did a really good job. And so, like, that was one of the things, I mean, especially for him being a second time, like, that was one of the things I was like, dude, you killed it. You did a really, really good job. That was awesome.
Yeah,
So
but did
that's
any of
a
the
good
leaders
place.
notice that, though?
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Which is why, like, which is why you gotta, like,
Nick needs another beer.
you brought it all the way up here for that.
What's the time frame?
I appreciate it.
Do we need one?
It's relative.
We're literally like live right
That's
now. We're
fine.
recording, and you're over here.
Well, he was asking for a beer. I was going to come up here and go like this, but he's asking for a beer, so.
Why do
You
you
went-
need?
hey, you went
why
like
do you have
this?
a question
Hold on.
about time?
Let's get one of those or two of those and some of these. Please? Please! Thank you!
So, yeah, I mean, good things and
was
bad
rude.
things.
Yeah.
Good things and bad
It's,
things. What went well,
it's
what
rude if
can we
she
do
doesn't
better?
come back with beer.
Yeah, or she comes back with a big, hey, fuck you guys.
Yeah, then it'll be rude.
I'm pretty sure she'll come back with beer.
So going on with what Nick the cop said, that's like the leader's perfect opportunity. When everything legit goes good, that's like the perfect opportunity. Like, you fucking killed it. Like, yeah, good job. And then you have everybody there that sees that.
As a supervisor, if you bust your ass for your guys and you take care of your guys, they're going to work their ass off for you.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
That
man.
right there is one of the biggest things. If a supervisor is there in the shit with you,
Yes.
not hiding like a bitch somewhere,
Yes.
or
Keeping
just
their
trying to
unit clean.
micromanage you. I mean, we're all adults. If you're really screwing up, okay, cool.
I still
but
feel quiet.
And I'll tell you what, one of the things that it takes to be a good leader is to respect your guys or girls too.
Agreed.
To respect, you have to respect your people. And here's why I say that. Growing up in the Army, I saw more often than not people, quote unquote, leading just like with an iron
It
fist.
was not rude.
thank you.
Just like
Thank you!
with an iron fist, meaning you will respect me because of my rank. You will do what I say because I outrank you and because I'm in a position of leadership. And that never worked.
No, you lose respect.
You lose and quickly.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day in the Army, like when I was growing up in the Army, when somebody would do something and they'd screw up, their team leader, it was the team leader's job. Hey, I need to give you some kind of corrective training so that we can fix this. Usually that was smoking people, right? So you make them do exercises, this, that, and the other. And so if you're a huge dickhead to your guys, girls, whatever, and you just smoke them all the time for every little thing they mess up, but you don't really give them the why. Why is this happening? What could you do better? You got to find something to get through to them. And if you just smoke the dog piss out of them every time they mess up, then they're not going to learn from anything they do. And I saw it because what would happen is these guys would be like, we try to get them to do the right thing. And they'd be like, why? Why does it matter? Like, I don't care. They
shut themselves down.
Exactly. I don't need to do the right thing because what's going to happen? I'm just going to get smoked if I don't do the right thing. I'm going to get smoked no matter what, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I'm getting pretty good at it. So
yeah, exactly. So it just doesn't work. You have to have respect. Like, hey, dude, like you let me down.
Yeah.
I asked you to do this for me. You screwed it up. Here's how you screwed it up. Here's how we can do this better. Mm-hmm. Like, is there something that I can do to make this better for you or make this easier? Was it my fault? Did I not make this clear enough for you? Did I not give you enough guidance on how you should have done this? Like, please tell me if there's something that I can do to make your job easier. Tell me, and I will get that done.
Like, yes, you fucked it up, but I want to know why.
Yeah.
So
let's make it better.
You two were fucking battling it out. I never got to say mine.
I know. I was going to get back. I didn't forget about you.
We have this. I mean,
mine. Respect. It's very important that you have the respect of your people and your people have the respect of you.
Yes.
Because once somebody doesn't respect you, it's gone.
You can't get it back.
You lost them.
You can't get it back.
You lost them. I mean, I'm not saying you can't get it back, but it's going to be very, very hard, especially in the field that we're in, because everybody's real quick to say, fuck you, dude. Like, get fucked.
Literally,
yeah.
And then there's bad blood. Then no one gets along.
Yep, and
then it causes problems.
One of the things that I thought of was like, so I noticed this issue a lot right before I went to Afghanistan, right? So I'm getting ready to deploy to a war zone, right? Very, very heavy combat area. And one of the team leaders that I'm talking about was just that guy. He was the guy that was just a douche to all of his guys under him, led with an iron fist. Nobody respected him. His guys didn't like him at all.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about it, and I pulled him aside, and I'm like, dude, do you think that what you're doing is going to help you and help us as a team when we get into the sandbox?
Yep.
And he was like, well, what are you talking about? And I said, do you honestly, with 100% confidence, think that if something happened to you, if we're out in a firefight, if we get ambushed, if something happens, can you guarantee with full confidence that if you get shot, that your guys are going to come have your back? They're going to put their life on the line to get to where you are to save you? Mm-hmm. Or are they going to take their time? I don't know if I can make it out there. Because they don't respect you.
It's definitely going to be a second thought.
Yes. Exactly. And a lot of them, like someone that does something like that, they'll second guess themselves. Like, well, if I do this, he's going to yell at me even though I'm trying to save his ass. But Justin, you're awful quiet, man.
And even if I do save his ass, still fuck you. Yeah. That's even a bigger fuck you.
Yeah. Do you want to say something? Go ahead, man.
Go ahead. You guys are just handling it. I don't even.
He looks all sad over there.
I agree with all of it. I fixed your guys' microphone problem while you guys were talking. I ordered new things for him. Anyway,
I get into this.
Yeah,
I'm very passionate. about this.
I'm the same way, especially with like everything that I've been through with my bullshit. Yeah. That's what? Oh my God! There's a lot of poor leadership in the political atmosphere of it.
When I was a lieutenant, so back to the Band of Brothers thing. The reason I brought it up.
Is it the first or second time?
It's a good question, Chris, and we'll get back to that.
Does that have anything to do with leadership?
Thank you for bringing that up, Karen.
Fuck you, Ken.
Fuck
that. I think what you meant to call him was Lieutenant Crispy.
No,
Lieutenant Karen.
When he's a good lieutenant, I'll address him as lieutenant.
You ever wear a Coors Light before?
No.
Well, I'm not going to throw it at you, but I got an empty.
Is that like a Twisted Tea thing? Or?
I asked him a question at work the other day, and he didn't know the answer. He said, and I was like, it's okay. You'll be a good lieutenant one day.
I sack-tapped him after that.
Pissed. So some things that I picked up from on Band of Brothers was like two very different, multiple different styles of leadership. And it's crazy how much that movie is like a really good way. If you lean towards the way Captain Sobel does things, you're probably a terrible leader. But anyway, so something that I learned is that don't put yourself in a position to take from your subordinates. So when I was on the truck, on payday Fridays, I would buy lunch. And it wasn't like I was like flexing like, oh yeah, I make way more money than you, I can buy us lunch. It was because I knew that, one, I did make more money, so buying lunch wasn't necessarily as big of a burden on me. And I wanted us to get together away from the office. We can like decompress and talk and listen to issues and just like bond as a crew. And I didn't want money to ever play a role in that. So they always would like try to like buy me lunch every once in a while, and I always felt terrible about it. I always felt, because I hate, like, I always talk about like selfless leadership, and I found that the best way for me to lead was to do everything I could for my team. And if my team made a decision and they could justify that decision to me, it didn't even have to make complete sense to me. They just had to justify it. I would back them to the hilt.
Yeah, you have to.
But if they made a horrible decision,
or no decision,
especially over something that we have previously discussed, that was it. And I knew them. They knew it. They knew that I would back them to the hilt.
I 100% think that no decision is the worst decision.
Agreed.
You cannot
make that decision, go with it, and hey, if you fuck it up,
learn from it.
Move on.
You cannot learn from a mistake you never make.
Exactly.
I encourage my people to make mistakes, and I didn't treat their mistakes as like the worst thing in the world, because it was an opportunity for all of us to learn. But if that mistake became habitual behavior, then we had an issue.
Yeah, and that's the problem with some of the supervisors these days, though. You make a mistake, and then holy shit, it's continuous too.
Well, and yeah, so many people these days are afraid to fail.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I think Will Smith is the one that said it. He says something along the lines of like fail early, fail often, fail forward.
That's it. Yeah.
And like when I heard that for the first time, I was like, "Whoa!"
It's mind blowing.
It is.
Yeah,
and it's so true.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to fail. You need to fail so you can learn. Fail a lot so you learn a lot.
What goes along with that,
but make progress from it.
Is you talked about ownership, and I think that in the workforce, what's hard and what's frustrating for me as a leader is there's a lack of personal responsibility. And like for us, we're not just accountable to corporate bean counters or the HR manager or whatever. We're responsible to the public that we serve. Mm-hmm. So we have to take personal responsibility in everything that we do. So as a leader, we need to make sure that we're setting the example by, one, taking personal responsibility and making sure that we are really good at what we do. We're constantly like learning and practicing our craft and perfecting it, and passing that type of motivation and the knowledge that we've learned from our experiences on down to our people to make them better. I want, like Chrispy, I supervised Chrispy for years, and I always wanted him to be lieutenant, and now he is. And I think that he's going to be a good lieutenant one day.
I knew that
I was waiting for it.
But I also had a guy that asked me if he should be a lieutenant, and he was afraid that he was going to be a bad lieutenant. And I said that thought process right there is going to ensure that you're going to be a good lieutenant, because the bad ones don't give a fuck whether they're good or bad or not. They're there for the rank on their collar and the dollar signs on their paycheck.
And especially where you work, there is a lot of that shit.
A lot.
Especially you get the guys that have zero training, zero experience, and guess what? They're a fucking lieutenant.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but then you get someone that has experience that shows up, and then that's where the leadership comes in. You're like, wait a minute, did you really?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's where you don't need to have so much as the rank stuff with you guys.
Yeah.
You guys have it. And
leadership characteristics are relatively the same across the board.
Exactly.
Whether it be in the corporate world, first responder world, military world. I mean, if you know how to be a good leader, no matter what job you're in, you're going to be a good leader. That's not to say that you're going to know the job as well as some other people, but we'll go back to, you don't have to.
You can learn.
I know how to be a good leader, and I'm not saying like me in general. I'm just saying like people that know how to be good leaders in general, and people that have very good leadership skills, that will transfer to whatever they do, because they're humble enough to know, I don't know the answer to that. Like if I became a leader as a firefighter right now, like say from some kind of crazy world, like I got promoted to some lieutenant in a firefighter, I know nothing about fighting fires other than pointing a hose at a fire and squirting.
I mean,
but I know a decent amount about leadership.
Yeah.
And so I know enough to know I don't know the answer to that,
Yeah.
but I can find somebody that does.
Exactly.
I mean,
It might even be one of your guys that knows it.
yeah, better than me, and I hope
Exactly.
they do. In that aspect, I would hope that somebody would. And I'm not. And then we go back to what you said about being humble. You got to be humble enough to know. I don't know. Like, if you can do a better job of this than I can, teach me.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's
too
where a
much
lot
of
of
a
these
jerk.
leaderships, though, their pride takes over control.
Absolutely.
Like, control of their mind and the way they think, and they let their pride take over, and that's it.
Something
they
that
suck at their job.
Something that I've struggled with, and I struggled with when I made lieutenant the first time, and I
How
really
many
struggle
times
with
have you
it.
been lieutenant?
Okay, so I got promoted 3 months in after I started full time. I was still on probation,
Congratulations on that. Wow.
and then like 2 or 3 months after that, I was demoted for who knows what reason. I have my suspicions, but
Who
they're sort
demoted
of
you?
the other chief.
Gotcha.
I have my suspicions, but like I don't know exactly why. And then I made it to. I interviewed for captain that next year, and then I got promoted to lieutenant at the end of the next year. And then, so when I interviewed for and got promoted to lieutenant the second time, I got called in after the interview. I had done like the chief's interview, and so the chief calls me in. He's like, "We decided to repost the position." And this chief, he knew my buttons. Oh, did he know my buttons?
And I take it that was one of them.
So he liked to do certain things to see how I reacted. And he would ask certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so he says, "We're going to repost the position." I said, "Okay." And he looks at me and he goes, "That's it?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You don't have anything else to say to that?" And I said, "No." I said, "I've been in this seat 3 times. And if you don't think I'll be here a 4th, I'll be happy to prove you wrong." And he was like, "Okay." And he handed me my stuff, my badge and my leaf. And it just like, there was some other times where he was like, "You don't have anything to say?" And I was like, "No, like, you're the boss. Like,
Yeah.
if that's what you want, that's what you want." I don't like 100% agree with it, but there was other times that, man, he could really get me going.
That's the thing. He would know what would get you fired up, and he would already have a response.
When he said Mister instead of Lieutenant, that really bothered me. But anyway, back to where I was going. One of the things I've always struggled with is when someone questions me, but not so much like a subordinate. It's when someone like above me, like I make a decision, and then it's questioned. And it doesn't happen so much in the fire department now, but it happens a lot in the Air Force because I work with so many officers. Mm-hmm. I'm like, "Hey, you can do this," and then this lieutenant colonel's like, "But like, can I though?" Like, basically like telling me I don't know how to do my job. And I'm just like, oh, so it like really pisses me off. And then I just look up the reference in the regs and I send it to him.
Which probably pisses them off even more.
Yeah.
And then
there's a lot of that in the PDs.
They're like, "Okay, cool, thanks so much for that." And then I've butted heads with some of the leadership in the fire department, especially over protocols.
Oh yeah.
And it drives me nuts.
That's man.
Because
we could do a whole nother.
I played such a role in writing the
we might as well write
protocols,
that
and
down
then they
for
question them.
another segment.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Actually, I got 2.
You could do a whole nother podcast on that because differences in opinions on the way that things should be done.
Those kids are going ham down there.
Differences in opinions on the way that things should be done in law enforcement is huge.
But that's
Huge,
the thing
huge.
is, you get those okay, we're going back to the leaders though. There's not. Yes, there's black and white, but there is a ton of gray.
Oh yeah.
Nothing is exactly the same, especially in law enforcement. Nothing is the same.
Mm-hmm.
You may deal with the same Johnny shitbag off the street, but it's a completely different circumstances depending how high he is, whatever else.
There's a lot of discretion that can be used for different circumstances.
A lot,
Yeah.
and especially with law enforcement. And I mean, you know this is.
I think the
there's
big
a lot.
thing is that strong leaders breed strong leaders.
Agreed.
Yes.
And so if you work in an agency where there is poor leadership at a certain level, it's harder for you because you have to step in and be that strong leader to breed other strong leaders.
Unless they won't let you, which is what I've been going through a lot.
True.
And that's hard.
It is.
And there's a lot. There's a lot of that,
There
especially
is.
down here.
Smaller departments, there's a lot.
Yes.
I want to ask the question: what do you guys feel about the 0 to heroes?
I've never heard that.
Like the new guy walking in 3 months in, getting promoted.
I have a story about that. I'll answer that question.
My opinion on that is, especially coming from the law enforcement side, I think you need your street experience, because if you go from, 3 months in, and see, going through an academy, and you might know this too, is you don't learn everything. But holy shit, I think I learned more on the street in my first month than I did the damn academy. Like, the streets are usually ruthless, especially up where we were. And that's why I disagree with some of the way that a lot of the agencies promote when they go, okay, you're off of probation, you immediately go to a supervisor position. It's like, wait a minute, why don't you get your street experience? And that's how it is, like, especially for detectives and other things, is you should have, they used to have it to where it was 3 or 5 years. You had to have 3 or 5 years in the field. So you had your experience. So you were introduced to all these different things. Yeah. Instead of just, okay, 3 months in, guess what?
You have to learn how to be a good follower before you can learn how to be a good leader.
That's exactly what I wanted to say, is without knowing how to follow somebody, you can never lead somebody.
Exactly. Agreed.
But to follow up to that, why is that happening to where these people right off the streets are just getting promoted?
Favors, political favors. There's a
political favors.
There's a lot of that.
For us, because we're such a small department that doesn't pay a whole lot, we gotta bring in who we can.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and then there's such a high turnaround rate in the department that I work for.
It's the same thing with us.
Insane.
We're turning people around a lot. Well, not so much now. It's kind of slowed down. But
and
there
you know
for a while, we were turning around people every few months.
And you know why? Well, I don't know about for your department, but for the department I work for, it's a leadership issue.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that people at the bottom think are big deals to them that the chain of command doesn't care about and doesn't show any interest in.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to keep their guys happy. And so we've had the sheriff come, ask questions like, hey, what can I do to make everything better, this, that, and the other. And guys will go give the sheriff their opinion on, like, well, hey, this is what's important to me. This is what's important to me. And the sheriff will write stuff down and pretend like the sheriff cares. And then it never gets brought up again. Yeah. And so then the next time the sheriff has a meeting like that, everybody's like, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything this time because I said
13 years and still homeless.
Yeah.
I've been asking for uniforms for 2 months.
I said something last time and nothing changed.
Yeah.
And so I can use a personal example, right? So I wanted to go to an advanced SWAT school. And I got denied right away by my supervisor, right? So my Sarge denied it. And then the SWAT commander approved it. And then the chief deputy denied it. And then I got denied all the way up the rest of the way after that. What bothers me about that is my supervisor, if he wants to keep me around and keep me happy and keep me working hard for him, my direct supervisor should approve that every time.
Yeah.
Of course, this is my opinion. But what I think is that in the law enforcement realm, your direct supervisor, the field sergeants, for me, the detective sergeant, needs to be 80% loyal to his guys, his subordinates right under him, and 20% loyal to the department.
Agreed.
So if something happens with us, 80% loyalty to the guys under you, 20% loyal to the department. His mentality should be, I will always have your back.
Yep.
Like, don't screw me. Don't do anything like out of blatant disregard for somebody's life or anything like that. And I will always have your back. I can fight for you, to the chain of command. And then when you get up to the lieutenant level, that gets flipped. The lieutenants need to be 80% loyal to the department in the chain of command and 20% loyal to the guys under them, because they have the Sarge that's 80% loyal to the guys under them. So the Sarge fights for the guys, the lieutenant fights for the chain of command. And I mean, obviously, for you, it's different because you don't have...
Yeah, but it's kind of similar. But I've never heard of it that way, and that's fucking brilliant.
That happens a lot.
Why would my supervisor... Okay, so why would I want to work hard for my supervisor if everything that I try to do, he's like, no, you can't do that. No, you're not going to, you can't. Yeah. I see you put in for this is what you're passionate about, but no, you're not going to do that.
You start giving up, though, like, why even ask? I'm going to get denied anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And then I start losing respect for him because I'm like, hey, I'm going to you and telling you this is my passion. Like, I want to do this. Here's why. And I wrote this entire page memo about why I wanted to do what I do, how it's better for me, how it's better for the Criminal Investigations Division, how it's better for the SWAT team, which in turn is better for the department as a whole. I mean, I know how to articulate things. That's what we learn as a cop, right? Yeah. I know how to articulate things. Yeah. So I articulated it all the way from how it would benefit me to every division, every department up above me, to the entire department. And then my supervisor, my first line supervisor, is the one that denied it. And in my opinion, I'm like, you should never be the one to deny it. Let the people, if it's going to get denied, let the people up
Let the
top,
top level do
let
it.
them deny it.
And see,
you
that's
need
where
to
it
be
builds
there
the-
for me.
That's where it builds the camaraderie,
Yes.
especially with your guys. When your
Yes.
sergeant or even lieutenant comes back and says, "Hey, look, I will do this. I will approve every single class. I
think
can't
we're better
guarantee
now.
you're going to go, but I'll approve it. And if they decide to deny it, that's on them." And then when we have a sit down or whatever, especially with larger departments, which it's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's also nice because there's a lot more trainings you can attend.
Yeah, of course.
Compared to the smaller departments.
And I also wouldn't be opposed to, I think it's fair for the supervisor to sit you down and be like, hey, tell me about this training. What does this training mean to you? Why do you want to go to this training? How can it benefit the department? How can it benefit everybody here? Whatever. And then
Maybe he doesn't know, but that's
Exactly.
that's a good thing because you sit down with your guy, you make him feel, hey, he
Heard.
actually cares.
he needs to be heard.
Yeah, he's hearing what I have to say. This is really good for me. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to explain it to him. I'm going to give my reason why, and then he can take that and fight it up the chain
Yep.
of command.
Yep.
Because
Like,
you can
hey, I
never
talked
have
to him.
not enough training.
Oh.
God, training's great. I love training.
We really opened a can of worms here.
Training whore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
My mic is broken. I'll be back in a minute.
So when I originally applied for lieutenant the first time as like a brand new, still on probation, one of the current lieutenants who was fixing to be, I guess, captain, or was the captain already, I don't know, he asked me, he said, why should you be promoted over somebody that's been here at this department longer? And at the time I had, I don't know, like 10 years in the fire service, I guess. A couple years in the hospital, transport EMS. So a lot of it was EMS, not so much fire. And I told him, I said, I don't know everything. And I don't expect that any supervisor would. I said, but I think that I bring some leadership qualities to the table that might be different than somebody else. And I don't think anybody expected me to make it as far as I did that first time. I really don't. I don't think they did. In fact,
me.
the chief told me, he said, we didn't count on this. He's like, we had pretty much already made our selection before this process started, and then here comes you. And I was like, well, I
You're welcome.
I don't feel like I did anything like
Right?
I didn't do anything like special. I was just like, I told the truth. And he asked me what the difference between authority and power. And
That's a deep question. I like that.
Yeah.
so I told him, I said, my authority comes from you. You as the fire
Yeah.
chief grant me the
Yeah.
authority to do things as lieutenant. And I said, but my power comes from my subordinates. Because
Boom. That's
if
good.
they don't respect me, I have no power over them, essentially.
Yeah. Totally agree with that.
And he was just like, I really like that answer. And I was like,
You know what's
Figured it
sad
out,
for
I
me
don't know.
is that the department that I work for, we don't have very many good leaders
Agreed.
at every level.
All the way.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, get this. Let me tell a story real quick. I'm sorry.
Oh, believe me, because I get it.
So, okay. So I am a DWI and standardized field sobriety test instructor, right? In fact, I'm the only DWI SFST instructor that our department has.
So you can check how fucked up we are later.
Yeah, totally. Unless I'm too drunk
I
to
should go
to
get my
do it.
PBT.
Yeah, I have one too.
Me too.
Anyways, so I'm the only one that we currently have in our department, right? So when I got to the department, I went to, at the time, our training lieutenant. And I went to him and I told him, hey, sir, I've gone to the guys, and most of the people in the department in the field say that we haven't done any SFST refreshers in like over 2 years.
Oh, damn. You
So-
should do that all the time.
Yes. So I told him, I'm like, hey, so what do I need to do? I said, I'm an SFST instructor. What do I need to do to get this class up and running? And so, long story short, we got together and we set up a couple different dates where we could do SFST refresher course. Cool. Awesome. Great. But mind you, I went to him and I facilitated the training. I got it done. And then I conducted the training. So I got 2 of the classes done out of the 3. The third class that I was trying to get scheduled was for the Criminal Investigations Division. And there was some kind of conflict. After we had already got it scheduled, there's some kind of conflict, so I had to reschedule it. I ended up having to reschedule it like 3 times. So after like the 3rd time that I had to reschedule it, that lieutenant had since been promoted, so now chief deputy. There's a new lieutenant. So the CID sergeant moved up to CID lieutenant. CID lieutenant and training lieutenant.
Sorry, I was digging into my back.
So,
I was gonna
so
say,
mind
man.
you, this guy that I'm
Find out.
referencing had moved up to now chief deputy. So he comes to me, says, "Hey, we still need to get this training done." And I'm like, "Yes, sir, we do. You're right. I got you. Like, I know that we need to get this done. I'm trying. It's been rescheduled 3 times. I know." So I went to my supervisor, so the Sarge of the Criminal Investigations Division, told him we need to get this training done. It's for your guys, the unit that you're in charge of.
Yeah.
I'm just the instructor. I'm telling you, your guys need to get it done. Yeah, cool. You're right. We do. So then he brought that up the chain of command to his lieutenant, who is also my lieutenant. So like I said, he's the lieutenant of the Criminal Investigations Division and the training lieutenant. Brought that up to him. He's like, "Hey, we need to get this done." "Yes, we do. Absolutely, blah, blah, blah." So then I didn't know this, but that lieutenant, who, again, is my lieutenant, had hit up another agency in our area and said, "Hey, do you have any SFSTs instructors? My criminal investigations guys need to get this SFST refresher done."
That's fucked up.
I didn't know
Oh,
that.
shit.
So I think he legitimately forgot that I was an SFST instructor, because the chief and the lieutenant came up to me in my office and they were like, "Hey, we need to get this training done, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Yeah, I'm trying. Like, I am the SFST instructor. I'm trying to get this done." And my lieutenant was like, "Oh my God, I totally forgot that you're an SFST instructor also." I legitimately think he forgot. Regardless, or irrelevant. So then he's like, "Okay, we need to get this done." I'm like, "Yes, sir, I'm tracking. I know we need to get this done." In my mind, I'm thinking, I know as the instructor, it's not my job to schedule it. It's my job to teach it. I let my supervisor know, who's the supervisor that's in charge of the guys that need to get it done. I let the lieutenant know, who is the training lieutenant and the CID lieutenant. So there's 2 people in their chain of command that know that it needs to get done. Plus, he's the training guy. He's the one that's supposed to schedule stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that lieutenant works directly under the chief deputy. So then, randomly, like a week and a half later, I get a text from a different lieutenant altogether, that's not in my chain of command at all.
Same agency.
He's
though?
the SWAT commander, same agency. He's a SWAT commander. He sends me a text, and it says something along the lines of, "Hey, just so you know, your participation on the SWAT team will be revoked until you get this SFST course done." And
There's vindictive.
I was instantly enraged.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned is that when emotion is high, logic is low. And any
Fact.
good leader needs to remember that. When your emotions are through the roof, you're not logically thinking. You can't do it. You can't do both at the
No.
same time.
You'll fuck everything up.
You will. And so I had to take a couple combat breaths, collect myself before I said something stupid that I was going to regret. So I took a couple minutes, and I called that lieutenant, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And he said, "I have no idea. The chief called me directly because I'm the SWAT commander and told me to send you this exact text message. I told him I'm not in your direct chain of command. It shouldn't come from me." And he said, "No, it will come from you because you're the SWAT commander." So him just doing what he's told, he sent it to me. And I said, "Here's my problems with that. I'm the only one that has tried to get these classes done. As the instructor, I went to all of these people and said, I've already taught 2. I set up 3. I've rescheduled the 3rd one 3 times trying to get it done, which is not my job. I said at the time, that was the other guy who's now the chief deputy. I said that was his job. He's the training lieutenant. He's the one to schedule the classes, not me. I did that. And then I rescheduled it 3 times. And I said, then the only guys that are left, I let their supervisor know. And then that supervisor knew about it also. Everybody in their direct chain of command knew about it.
That's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, I said it was 100% not my job to schedule the classes. But I tried to go above and beyond and get it done. I scheduled it 3 times. We had to reschedule it 3 different times. What do you want from me?
And you're the one getting screwed
And
over.
and that's what I said. So I went to the SWAT commander and I'm like, why am I the one? I said, why is it automatically on the chief deputy to say, hey, even though you're the only one that's pushing for this, because it hasn't been done yet, I'm going to withhold your passion from you.
You're the one getting punished.
I said, how does that work? I said, what about, I said, number one, he needs to keep in mind that I went to him when he was the lieutenant. Mm-hmm. Now that he's the chief deputy, he knows the guy that replaced him. It's his job. And I like the guy a lot. So I can't say anything bad about the lieutenant that is now the training lieutenant and my lieutenant. He's a super good dude. He kind of dropped the ball on this one. He kind of let me, pay for something that I don't feel like I should have. But
put you out there to burn.
Exactly. He hung me out to dry. So I called after I was off the phone with him, venting my frustrations about how that was the worst leadership I'd ever seen, and he could have gone about it. All the chief deputy would have had to do is say, hey, dude, We need to get this done. I'm giving you a hard date of this. Please get it done by this date. Cool, sir. Too easy. I will get it done. I promise you that. And then if I don't, then it is on me because then I gave you my word and I didn't get it done. Then it is on me. But that's not how it went. So after I voiced my frustrations about how that was terrible leadership and I lost all my respect for this guy, then I called my supervisor, who's the supervisor of all the other guys that need the class. And I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. I just got a call from the SWAT commander, and this is what's happening, this, that, and the other. And he was like, well, what you should have done is come to me and let me work it through the chain of command. I said, sir, that's why I'm calling you.
Yeah.
What else do you want from me?
Figure
I said,
it out.
I can't control.
Let me know.
I can't control the lieutenant.
Yeah,
the
just let me know.
Yeah. I can't control the SWAT commander coming to me. Like, he came to me, so I had to, figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And now I'm coming to you because you're in my direct chain of command, and I'm voicing the same frustrations with you. And I hope that you bring that up the chain and say something to him, because if you don't, I will. And so I told him the same thing about how it was terrible leadership, this, that, and the other. And he's like, all right, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we schedule it for, and he asked me about a random Friday. And he's like, do you have anything going on this Friday from 8 a.m. to 12? And I looked at my schedule and I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, cool, so let's get it done then.
Perfect.
And I'm like, okay, here's my issue. I said, yes, that's cool. I'm glad that we're finally getting it scheduled and we're glad we're finally getting it done. My issue with that is now the chief deputy goes to the SWAT commander who goes to me and tells me they're going to withhold SWAT for me. So now, and then all of a sudden we're going to come back to the chief deputy and say, hey, we have a time for the training. We're going to get the training done. We're good to go. You don't have to hold SWAT training from Nick.
So then that's what it takes.
And exactly. So now in his mind, he's thinking, oh, okay, well, once I threatened to withhold SWAT from Nick the cop,
fire to his ass.
Then he got it done. And I'm like, that's not the message that I want to send him, because that's terrible leadership. And that's not what got this done.
Yeah.
What got this done was me talking to you about it and you finally getting off your butt and scheduling it. But now, of course, the chief deputy's like, okay, cool, boom. Every time Nick the cop doesn't do something,
I put the fire to
him, he'll get it done. And that's the wrong answer, because I don't need that.
Watch out, we got training day over here.
Oh, my God.
I think...
so sorry, I know that was a long rant.
No,
super long.
Speaking of long, what are we at? Is this a good time to pause?
On
Probably,
so many levels, it was very frustrating for me, leadership-wise.
That seems like a logistical nightmare.
51 minutes.
I think it's a good time to pause.
I agree.
Yep.
Is that
We're
okay
gonna
for
pause here.
Sorry, everybody. I know
We're gonna
No, that was great, and that was a good story on how the breakdown of communication went.
And how important adequate communication is to good leadership.
That's what Savage
We'll come back to communication, because I got a lot on that.
We'll pause here.
We'll let you guys talk.
Well,
that'd be nice.
Me and him can talk after this.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
it is their podcast.
Yeah, you two sit there and clean the dust off your mics.
I think that's why he pulled something out. He's like, we're done.
We're gonna pause here, and we're gonna try and come back, but we're not gonna make promises.
We're gonna when we do come back, we're gonna be drunk and naked.
Yeah. Whoa.
Drunk at least.
Podcast naked.
I mean,
I don't know that
I got no
Whoa.
shame. I
don't either. That's why I said that.
Nick definitely doesn't have any. Well, they all left. So thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more episodes. Have a safe week and lead on to others.